absolute pleasure to be hosting this special event in honor of International Women's Day 2025. My name is Sandra Amakri and I'll be your moderator for this event. But first of all, a few apologies for starting a little bit behind schedule. We have a power-packed agenda today, filled with industry speakers as well as insightful conversations. We also have people joining us from across Nigeria, across all our brewery locations. And if you're listening and hearing me online, please wave and say hello to everyone. To the team online. So, like we would like to say in Envy, Team Envy. Team Envy. Team Envy. Amazing. Thank you, everyone. Everyone looks so beautiful and amazing. And I promise you, we have a supercharged agenda, and I cannot wait for you to also share after this session the inspiration that you will take from this session today. It's going to be 2 hours, and like I mentioned today, we have a 5-part agenda, as you can see on the board. Trust me, it will be a 2 hours well spent. Yeah? I agree? Yes. Amazing. But to really kick things off, I'd like to call on Elizabeth Ajulu, who is our Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Ambassador. She will tell us about the Women in Nigerian Breweries platform and why it's such a powerful platform to really include and take women leadership conversations forward. Hello, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Thanks for joining. All right, so you're welcome to the 2025 International Women's Day celebration here in Nigerian Breweries. Today we've come together to recognize and celebrate the incredible contributions of women in our industry and beyond. At Nigerian Breweries, we are committed to fostering an inclusive environment where women are empowered to lead, innovate, and thrive. A key part of this commitment is the Women in Nigerian Breweries platform. So that's the platform that is organizing this event today. A dedicated initiative that provides a platform for women across our organization to connect, learn, and grow together. WIMB continues to create an environment where our women can excel and lead at every level through networking opportunities, mentorship, and knowledge sharing sessions with industry experts just like this. So over the years, we've had different platforms, we've organized different sessions where we brought together our women and industry experts where they come to share what they have done in their own space. We have the She Empowered initiative, which holds every year, and we've had this for the past number of years, and we've always had the opportunity to learn from industry experts. So today is going to give us another opportunity to learn also from our esteemed speakers here today. So this year's theme, Accelerate Action, calls for women to move beyond ineffective practices and conversations and take bold, meaningful, and decisive action towards growth, leadership, and positive impact. In an ever-evolving world where innovation, digital transformation, and inclusivity are shaping the future, women must actively take steps to position themselves for success. Accelerate Action challenges us to take ownership for our growth, advocate for ourselves, embrace opportunities, and drive change in our personal and professional lives. To guide us through this event, I will welcome back on stage Sandra, our head of marketing communication.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That's just the beginning, and thank you very much for setting the tone. I am honored. Like I said earlier, we have industry experts in our midst, right? So we're particularly honored this morning to have our keynote speaker. But before I introduce her up on stage, let me take a moment to read her bio. Sarah Aga, Regional Marketing Excellence Director, AME Region. Sarah is passionate about building brands and inspiring consumers to fall in love with them in a meaningful way. She has had an impressive career spanning over 2 decades, holding leadership positions in marketing across FMCG, advertising, telecoms, and technology. In her current position as Regional Marketing Excellence Director of AME, Sarah supports operating companies to shape portfolio and brand strategy and design organizational structures, strengthening people capabilities to deliver on that ambition. She is also involved in mergers and acquisitions at the regional level. Sarah is an avid reader and believes reading is the best gift to yourself. She also likes to dance, even though she isn't great at it. Her leadership philosophy is empowering others to become better versions of themselves. She is an accredited Heineken coach. Together with her husband, she's raising 2 beautiful girls to own their voice and make their mark in the world. A big round of applause for Sarah Aga as she welcomes us.
Good afternoon, everyone. I feel super proud to be here. It's actually my first time in the last 3 years in this building. So there's lots of, I would say, nostalgia, but also just being here, feeling the energy. You know, there's really nothing like being in the OPCO. So much energy, so much vibe, and you know, so much to anticipate and to do. So I'm really, really proud. There's so many of you I don't remember, so many new faces. But I hope, you know, if you're new and you're really, really enjoying it. I mean, there is no OPCO like Nigerian Breweries. I see that. We really do great stuff, and we really, really, really set the bar high. I can tell you, working in many, many other African countries around the continent. Good. So what am I going to talk about today? And I think Elizabeth really did a great job, you know, elucidating why we need to accelerate action. And, you know, I heard you when you said 2 hours, oh my God, kill me now. So it's not going to be death by PowerPoint, but it's really going to be a very nice conversation that we're going to have. And if we can save time, I think it's good to give you back that time. But I can assure you the next couple of minutes, it's really going to be fantastic. And I really hope to inspire. I also hope to provoke and to advocate for us to think differently. And that's what we're going to do in the next couple of minutes. But before I go, sorry. Before I start, I really want to say thank you. Because it's not often that people take 2 hours of their time, right? To spend the time to be here, to listen. So thank you for all being here. So a round of applause to you all ladies for being here. But I especially want to thank Grace, you know, who is indeed the convener of and has been championing women in NB. So thank you, Grace, for being here. But also thank you to Sandra, to Kemi, to Elizabeth, who actually organized this. I was meant to be somewhere else and they said to me, no, Sarah, you have to come to Nigeria this time around. And I'm here and I look great because of these women who have made sure that I look fantastic to stand in front of you. I don't look like this every day, I can tell you. I haven't worn heels in the last 4 years, and the brief was very clear. Sarah, you have to wear heels. So I'm wearing heels because of you. And you know, I really got my outfit really ready to celebrate the Nigerian way. So is this exceed expectations or? It's outstanding. Thank you. Fantastic. Great. Now, why is it important for women to come together? Well, as we can tell, first of all, kudos to all the men in the room. I think women are pretty special, aren't we? And there's something infectious and energetic about women. We're able to really take things differently, and we have untold capacities, and we bring a certain energy in the room. So I started this conversation by saying I'm an advocate, and the reason why this picture is here is because every time, at every point in my career and life, I always make sure that I'm truly connected to a community of women that are moving things forward. Now in this picture are top women leaders across the globe, and I had the opportunity to see and participate in the Women's Summit, a new initiative that was launched globally to bring women leaders across the business to really talk about how to move female careers, especially in Heineken, forward. And this group of women are super important because we build on each other, we support each other, and you know, there's a lot that goes on in that group. And I'm going to be sharing some of the thoughts that we've talked about and shared together as a group with you later today.
Anything wrong? Like how?
So last year, I'm so Grace would recognize her pair there, the HRD. It was really good to celebrate with the Rwandan team last year during the International Women's Day. And I'm going to share also some of the themes that we came through. But I also want to make the point, because sometimes in these conversations, we can tend to think quite narrowly. My personal purpose in life, and this has nothing to do with me being in Heineken, but it's actually to raise the next generation of leaders. So every time I have the opportunity to speak or to go to one of our opcos or outside of our opcos, I make sure that I'm connecting with people, male and female, to really help coach, mentor, so that people can really start to take their careers outside and really take their careers seriously, but also make impact in the broader world outside of the four walls of the organization. And this is me most recently in Cairo, together with some of our colleagues all over, there. We were in Uganda, a region in Cairo, and there we were really trying to better understand how we can make, impact with our people, top talent, within the communities, not just within the company. So I really, really do take people and capabilities seriously. But more importantly, for me, the whole notion of people development, and female in particular, is personal. It's personal because I'm raising two girls. I haven't got sons. I wasn't that, blessed to have a son and daughter. I have two girls, two teenage girls, who are, I can see a lot of women smiling because they understand what it means to have teenagers. So I'm raising two teenage girls who are basically reteaching me what it means to be a mom. Every word in my house, every time I talk to my daughters, the first question they are, "Mommy, but why?" So why is a very common word in my house now. So, but as you go through this presentation with me today, I really need you to also think about that question, why? Why do I need to take action? Why do we need to accelerate action? Why are we even in this room? And hopefully before the end of today, we'll get to some crystallization of why. But a few disclaimers. And for me, this page is super important because in speaking to you, for me, authenticity is very important. I don't want you to think, oh, Sarah is perfect, has everything all together. Actually, I am a work in progress. So a lot of the themes that I'm seeing and I'm sharing with you today, you will see how I am also applying it in my own life. So I'm a work in progress. I'm not a finished product. So please take that into consideration, because there's no human being that is perfect. And sometimes as women, we fall into the trap of raising ourselves to so much expectation that is truly uncalled for, and that really puts a lot of us under pressure. So women, we're a work in progress. Do we agree that we're all work in progress? Yes. Work in progress. Fine, thank you. Good. I understand that we need 1 minute because they're not hearing us online. Okay. Okay, good. But I also want to inspire action. Who wants a different way to think? Yeah, so I'm going to be sharing a lot of data points with you today, and just follow me as we go, and hopefully we will get there in 2 minutes. Okay. Can you do it manually? Good. Okay. Thank you. Next one. Next one. Thank you. What does that number on the screen mean? Does anyone recognize that number, and does it mean anything? No one in the women's function. Does that number mean anything to anyone? I saw a hand up. Good. Ah, hello. I'm sure you would know. But let me come to this lady who's wearing amazing. Look at that. Look at that. Amazing, amazing. Pardon? MV. Oh, it's an. Oh, okay. Tell me, what does that number mean?
Okay, so according to the statistics regarding women empowerment, it will take the year 2158 to achieve women empowerment, which means 4 generations from now. Wow.
Fantastic. Very, very good. Let me build on that. So that number on the screen means if we don't take action and continue at the current rate of progress, gender equality in the workplace is only going to happen in the year 2150, and that's actually 5 generations from now. And that's why we need to accelerate action. So it's certainly not going to happen in our lifetimes. I don't know who wants to live on children. Neither will they live in my children's children, right? So it's going to take that long, except we actually do start to do things differently and progressively now. But actually, if you go back one, if you go forward, please, is it working now? Good. And the reason why I think this quote is super important is that, you know, oftentimes when you see that kind of number, when you see that kind of stat, you kind of feel, is it really going to happen? But actually, James Baldwin, who is a prolific, you know, African-American writer, and he says, people always say things that can be done, right? Until people actually start to do it. And the people in this room actually have the capabilities and the capacities to start to narrow down that number. And there are many things that are happening outside of our control today that can actually help us facilitate that number. And that's what I really, really want to get into. According to IWD, obviously, there's so many things that we can do to accelerate that action. A long papyrus, and I actually invite you, for those who haven't bothered or who haven't tried, or attempted to go to the IWD website, please go. There's so much rich information there. There's a lot, and the reason why I really took this down is because it's a long list of things that can be done, but in summary, it's 3 things. 1, skill, this only happens in Nigeria. Oh my God, I'm having so much fun. 1, skills and capabilities. 2, system and structure. And the third one is well-being. The third one is a super important point, which is health and well-being, but I'm not going to speak about that. I'm really going to speak about the first 2 points, which is skills and capabilities, but also organization and structure, because this actually has huge impact in terms of how we work. So let's talk about skills and capabilities. Can someone define for me what skills is? And in skills and capabilities, are they the same? Does anyone want to try? Anyone? Anyone wants to try? Life is for, again, the lady in red, or with rose. Okay, she wants to try. She's like, oh.
Okay, I forgot to introduce myself earlier. My name is Nilolala Tono. So skills is what you acquire, like what you learn, while capabilities is what you are able to do with the skills.
Anybody else? Anybody else wants to say? So I asked our friends, and the reason why I think this is important is because as I meet with people and I work with people, we tend to use these words interchangeably, and they don't mean the same. And it's really, really important for us to understand what it means. So I asked our friends at ChatGPT, how many of us use ChatGPT? We need to use it more. Good. Right? And the skill is defined as the ability to perform a task effectively through knowledge. What Amy said. But it's really your ability. So skills is really your ability based on what you've learned in school, based on what you're taking on the road. But capabilities are much broader than just the application, right? It is really a combination of skills plus resources plus competencies to enable an organization or system move things. So it's a much broader set. So it's almost like amalgamating all your skills together with resources, together with organization, system, and structure to deliver on a goal. So skill is very individualistic, right? You have specific skill set, but combining those skill sets actually helps you to build the capability. And it's super important because according to the World Forum, and this is what I was asking earlier, which really tracks 1,000 employers across the world, right? 14 million workers. That's huge. It's perhaps one of the biggest research projects that the World Economic Forum does. And its impact, it says that in the year 2030, 39% of the skills that we know today are going to be disrupted. 39% of what we call core skills today. So if you're an accountant, it's bookkeeping. If you're a marketing person, maybe it's developing campaigns. But actually, 39% of what we think are core today in our jobs are going to be disrupted. And that disruption means they might exist in a different form, or actually those skills are no longer relevant in the workforce today. Right? So think about that number that I raised earlier, that 2158. And you might say, okay, Sarah, global research, it doesn't really apply to Nigeria. Actually, in Nigeria, we're actually expecting a higher form of disruption. So 41%. So globally, 39% of our core skills are going to be disrupted. In Nigeria, it's 41%. 41. And that's significantly higher. And the reason why that is so is because of technology. So I was driving again from the airport, and the sheer number of banks, fintech companies, that I saw their billboards. I mean, I don't even recognize them anymore, right? I don't know these banks, and I left the country 1.5 years ago. So the sheer scale and size of technology disruption that's coming to our country has huge impact in terms of the skills we call core. So think about the job that you do today. What do you think is core in terms of your skill set? And think that 39 or 41% of them are going to be disrupted. What does that mean for you in terms of how you look at your core skills and how you need to upskill? So I think it's a good reflection point. Good. And we're just not like in a Mickey Mouse group. We're in groups with Switzerland, UAE, Saudi Arabia. So these are really forward-looking and not Mickey Mouse countries. So it's really coming to us. Good. Next slide, please. Yeah. So if you think about the number that I started with, the 2,158, what do you need to do today to shorten that number? It really sits in your skill set. If your core skills are being disrupted and we want to accelerate action to narrow that gap, women, we need to look at how we're building and upskilling ourselves. And part of it is an organization responsibility, but the bulk of it is our responsibility. We need to think about how we're upskilling ourselves to be future fit for tomorrow. The organization has a role, but actually we as individuals have a bigger role. This community has a bigger role in how we're upskilling ourselves. And that's an important message to learn. Good. Now, this study has been going on for 10 years. Yeah, from the World Economic Forum. Every year they bring out, the stats, as Niniola said. But I really just want to reference two things. One, of course, in the year we have now, it's all about analytical thinking, resilience, creative thinking. And the reason why creative thinking is important, that's why Larry is here, is because there's so much disruption happening in the world. There's so much change. Leaders are now looking for people who can creatively adapt to that pace of change. So it's not that, oh, I know how to do my accounting, I know how to write a good copy, actually, but how do you do it in an accelerated way, in a differentiated way? So creative thinking is not just the preserve of creators or people who work in creative industries, but actually it's a critical skill required in your day-to-day. And look at the top fastest growing skills, AI. And when we think AI, we only think of IT. We say, oh, I'm in accounting, I'm in I don't need to know anything about tech. Actually, we have to think about technology. We also have to think about resilience, flexibility, because the world is changing too fast. Right? Analytical thinking. It's a key skill still, but it's further down the road. Right? So I invite you to please go look at this report with your industry in mind. Think about the core skills that are relevant today. They're not going to be relevant in 5 years. Yeah. Now let's look at the system and structure. Because what that means is organizations are moving to a skill-based economy. They need and they're looking for people who are ready to be adaptable, people who want and are able to get new skills in an accelerated kind of way. So we are shifting to a skill-based economy. And that's an important message to land. But what are the key shifts that we're seeing? And I know that this is very relevant, especially to us in Nigeria. Oh, I read this. Oh, I studied this in school. So organizations are moving from, it's all about my qualifications and the things that I know to do. But actually, they are moving to a system where it's all about knowledge, experience, shared collaboration. That's where the world is moving to. So think about yourself. Are you ready for that new world? Where it's just not about what I studied and my 20 years or 10 years of experience, but actually the skills that you have today. In most parts of the world, we're seeing a lot of younger people who are earning, actually because of the skills that they have today, are more valued than people who've had more experience in a particular sector, because their skills are relevant today. Again, organization that's just based on hierarchy. Oh, I'm an HRD, and then la 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 la, I'm the this and the that. Actually, we're moving to a world where it's not just about the hierarchy, it's about bringing people that have similar skills. And it's already happening, even in our organization. So that's where the world is moving to. And we as a company are also moving there already. Just recently, some of us were also part of that process. We brought in people from all over the world to help shape the 2030 strategy for the organization called the North Star. And it wasn't just, oh, we're only going to bring a particular set of people. Actually, no, it was very specific. We need people with this kind of skill set to help us shape the company's strategy for the future. So as a company in Heineken, we're already beginning to work like this. Maybe less so in Nigeria, maybe, but it will happen, and it's coming. Okay, I think another point that is super important is sometimes we tend to focus on, oh, I only need this kind of skill to survive. Actually, no, we want broader skills. It's just not, I've read this, I've studied this, I've had this career, so these are only the skills that are relevant. Actually not. And I'll talk a little bit about that. For myself, I used to be so focused on being such a marketing guru, what that also meant was there were certain projects and certain conversations that were not open to me because I only focused on being an expert in my function. But that's not the world we're moving to now. The world that we're moving to requires more broader, more complex set of skills. So ladies, don't just focus on your function, think broad. Think adjacencies. What are the core adjacent skills that I need to not only excel in my function, but actually to make me more mobile in my career? So that I can move and learn and have a broad set of experience. Good. I want to ask the question then, having said all this, how many of us are very clear about our ambition, where we want to go, what we want to do? Any hands? No hands? No hands. Aha. Are we shy? Pardon? Rephrase the question. I said, how many of us are clear about our career ambitions? Thank you. Thank you. Very good. I see some hands like this. I don't want them to look at me before bad eye people will look at me. No. Okay. And the reason why I asked that question, and I've often asked it when I'm speaking to talents and people across the world, I have found that a lot of people are very clear about their ambition. Even though they can't maybe sometimes articulate it, they kind of know what they want to do, but they are less clear about the skills that they require to get there. Exactly. You agree with me? Yes. Do you all agree? Yes. So coming from all the things that I have said therefore, skills, being super clear about the skills that you need to excel and to grow is super important. We need to better integrate our ambition with our skill set. And skill set is not static. We can't think about it as something I just do now and then I forget about it. It's actually something that is ever evolving. So you always have to think about what are my core skills and what are my adjacent skills to help me accelerate and have a broad career. Good. And it's important because if you're better able to integrate your ambition with your core skills, then you really derive what we call power skills to move your career forward. That's what you need. To better align your skill set with your ambition, and not just ambition that's up in the air and doesn't have the right foundation of skill set. But I want to pause a bit on that forward. And for me, this is super important because, you know, when we think about forward, we only think, right, forward, going up. But actually, that's not how careers are built. Can anybody, do you recognize these two pictures? Does it say anything to you? Yeah? Yeah? Grace, you want to say something?
No, I was going to say this is not even crooked enough.
It's not crooked enough. So we need more crooked roads. That's the reality. But actually, when I've also shown this picture, people are like, yeah, I recognize what you're saying, Sarah. But actually, what I struggle more with is, I don't understand how to deal with myself in the valleys. I don't understand how to handle myself when my career doesn't actually feel like it's moving forward. How do I deal with those valleys when I'm not sure exactly where I am and how that is actually laddering up to where I want to go? And I'm going to play a video. Hopefully it works. Fingers crossed. And the reason why I think this video is super important as a message, and I'll lay it off because I want to use it as a metaphor to talk about my own experience in the valley and how being in the valley has actually then helped me reframe about how I think about career mobility. Yeah? So this movie is super important, and I'll just give you a little bit of a background. Again, the underlining theme there is about women. Again, this was women in the Army Corps. How many of us have seen this movie? Very good. So a good number of us. Fantastic. So it's about women in the Army Corps. Of course, everybody knows the Army is the highlight of excellence, and the women, highly trained, very experienced, were given the uphill task, right, to solve a logistics problem, right? And it was about getting mails. Has anybody ever done that kind of job, like a mail delivery kind of person? I mean, for somebody who, some of these women were like trained statisticians, they were professors, and then they were given the opportunity to handle mail. In watching this clip, I need you to think about how they reframed that task and how they built the skills to deliver on that. Can we cue the video? And I use this movie as a metaphor to think about when you're in the valley moment, how are you thinking about your skill set? What exactly, what's your mindset? Because there's so much power in your mind. And I think the first thing that you need to do is reframe the valley. In this movie, the ladies were asked to basically get mails to the people, but they reframed that mail system into giving hope. Hope is more aspirational. Hope gives energy versus, okay, I've just been told to sort mail. So when we think about some of the assignments that we're given, let's reframe what those assignments mean. I think as women, as Nigerians sometimes, you know, Nigerians they carry last. We come with all that bravado, but sometimes it's masking something that's deeper. We need to open ourselves to really reframe those values. When we're in those moments where we think, actually, this assignment is not worth my time. And as I said, I was going to use this as a metaphor for my own experience, right? So a couple of years ago, you know, I was given the opportunity to go to the Netherlands, to work in Global Commerce University, to look after brand strategy. That was my brief. That was the job description I got. Sarah, we heard from Nigeria that you're a top talent and that you build brands in Nigeria. Come and codify how we'll do it around the world. Of course, I got my bag and I left. I wasn't very happy, I have to be honest, because yeah, I was going at the same hay grade, I was so I said, okay, let's just go, let's keep it moving. But then I was given the assignment to reframe the Commerce Awards and I felt, I've come from Nigeria, top talent, And then you're giving me the assignment to reshape the Commerce Awards. How is that even important in the scope of things? How? How is that important? Is that an assignment you give a top talent? But actually, that was the assignment that was needed for me to truly understand the company. If I hadn't gotten the opportunity to do the Commerce Awards, getting to work with top leaders, the global commerce leadership team, there is no way I would have been able to understand the company strategy, because all I had done within Heineken was work in Nigeria, so I understood Nigeria. But actually, I don't only work for Nigeria, I work for Heineken. And that's a global company. So doing that assignment opened my eyes and really shaped my strategic thinking, because I had to present to very senior people. Equally, I had to reshape the agenda, and I was just new there. So that assignment helps me. So similar to these ladies, reframe the valley and make sure you have the right skill set as well. 2, embrace humility and learning. And it's not easy. It's not easy to embrace humility. In fact, sometimes I wonder if humility exists in our language as Nigerians, you know? Because we're quite pumped up with the biggest things, the economy, la 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 la. So we're quite bravado as a country, and that's all good. But the best places where we learn is actually where we're open and honest about the things that we don't know, so that we can learn the things that we don't. This is also something that I have also learned on my journey in the Netherlands, being open about the things I don't know, asking for help, speaking to my colleagues, say, actually, I really don't know what to do there. Last year, I was invited by the South African OPCO to come and help reshape and build wine strategy. Hello. I grew up in this country. I didn't grow up drinking wines. I started to drink wine as an adult, but it's not like I grew up in France, that is the home of wine. So I had no clue. I don't know the difference between a Merlot versus a Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc versus... I was like, why are they even telling me to come and help them shape their strategy on wines? I have no clue. But I said, okay, I've been giving this assignment, it's part of my job. I called a colleague of mine who's from South Africa. I said, okay, tell me about wines in South Africa, just tell me. I called another colleague in France, tell me, provenance, tell me, talk to me. And then I went 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, delivered the strategy, approved by somebody who had no clue. So I reached out, I was humble and learned what I could, and then I applied tried and tested marketing strategy on the assignment. So in upskilling ourselves, it's critical to be humble and to be open to what we don't know. Let's not cover it with bravado, women. It's not needed. Yeah? And the last point that I want to make is be driven by courage. In that video we said, the women said, look, it's too important, we cannot fail. And it's not easy to build a career as women because we have so many things up against us. We have to take care of children, we have to... But let courage drive us. Let courage drive the decisions that you make daily in terms of how you grow your career. Good. I want to talk about bringing it home. And the reason why this is up is because this is the way to upskill ourselves, the personal development plan. But actually, most times when people think about their personal development plan, they think about it as a chore. Full disclaimer, Grace hasn't seen this presentation, so she doesn't know that I'm going to talk about personal development plan. So don't think that Grace has given me a brief. No, it's actually the part of the story that really matters. Take your PDPs seriously. I started this conversation saying the organization has a role to play in upskilling, but actually the individual has the biggest responsibility on how we upskill ourselves. Take your PDPs seriously. I also talked about adjacent skills. So if anybody who knows me, I love marketing and I have spent 22 years, shaping my career in marketing. But I can also acknowledge that just being focused in one area has also limited me in a sense. So I've actually spent the last 3 years using the PDP to strengthen the other areas of my skill set that is not truly focused on marketing. As an example, for the last 3 years, I have been learning so much about revenue margin growth. And I'm learning it when nobody is even paying attention. Last year I was given the assignment again. I got a call, Sarah, we want to acquire an organization. And we need you to lead the team to go and acquire that company for us in so. It's like, woo, I haven't done this before, what am I going to do? I said, okay, just go. All we want is a business case properly prepared for us to be able to acquire that company, and you are the one in the driver's seat. Thank heavens that I had been learning RMG skills in the dark. Because how would I have been able to review all of those, data points and all of that to be able to inform an acquisition, right? And just to be fully transparent, I haven't dropped RMG. I've been doing it in chapters. And for this year, this is my cross-functional, right? First of all, I want to learn more about AI. I want to learn more about AI in terms of how it's going to disrupt new media and experience, because we're working on a very nice project that's going to reshape the future of marketing in the organization. And AI is going to play a key role in that. So as part of my, PDP, I want to learn more about it. Next one. Again, I talked about RMG, and I've done so many pricing studies across so many markets. And for me, the next chapter is PPA. Of course, I've done PPA, but I want to strengthen. I want to go deep, not broad. So this is my... Go on. I just want to close here because I think it's important, right? In bringing it all together, take your PDP seriously because it's needed, right? Our skills are being disrupted, but actually the mindset also is important. And I reference this quote. It's impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Be open. Let's be humble. Let's learn what we think we don't know. Let's approach our colleagues in different functions to learn adjacent skills that are necessary to go further, right? And let's enjoy ourselves along the way, okay? Thank you. So let's stay open, let's stay curious, and let's enjoy the ride. But more importantly, let's stay in our power because we're amazing women, eh? We're amazing women and we do good stuff. Thank you.
Very much. Good afternoon, everyone. For this next session, we will have a fireside chat with her. The clip we just watched was basically a snippet from your 19 years anniversary last year. And I would confess, everyone, Larry's profile was like 2 pages long. I had to use this video to quickly maneuver the profile. But very inspiring work, and we would like to use this opportunity of this fireside chat to really get to know the woman that is Larry. Of course, we know the global brand that is Larry Da Silva Ajayi, but to inspire us this afternoon, we want to get to know Larry. And to kick off, I would like you to share with us what was the first thing, the first moment where you realized Larry has something and you needed to take that thing global. What were the key things that inspired you and gave you the courage? I mean, in line with some of the things that we've heard this afternoon, that gave you the courage to really decide that this is what you wanted to do.
Thank you very much for that question. What I would like to say first of all is that Nigerian women love fashion, and I think that's definitely one of the key elements that we must all recognize. When I moved back home to Nigeria 2003, I thought there was a bit of a gap. And at that time, nobody was actually doing fashion that much. We had some few people. There was still the belief that you had to travel to actually have your clothes made, especially for weddings. They had to buy their wedding dresses abroad. People were going to Cameroon at the time. And when I moved back home to have their bridesmaids dresses, I thought this is a vacuum. Why can't we do this? So whilst I was in England, I loved fashion. I had a very clear mind of how I used to. In fact, when my parents gave me my pocket money, I would always be at the Portobello market, shopping pre-loved items. I always loved fashion. So coming back home, I felt we could use other fabrics. And believe it or not, when I moved back to Nigeria, Ankara was purely to be wrapped around your chest, but Igbo women, nobody was wearing it for anything. I see beautiful women this afternoon wearing adire. This was not the case at all. In fact, you were not meant to wear things like that. It was almost like a cheap way for you to look. You had to be in the international dressing. But thank God, fast forward today, there's a different story. So it turned on Nigeria and Africa and everything that has happened. So I started making clothes, and believe it or not, I was also very quick. I had very good muses. One of my muses was Tunda Biola at the time, and she'd always wear my pieces, but I was not yet there. I was trying to push it forward. And she would tell me, Larry, you should make more things. You never know, this can be a career. Because I studied business administration at Coventry, and my master's was in finance from Leicester. Even my dad had a problem with me going into the fashion industry, so I had to do it very quietly. But you know, for women, when you want to look after your family and take care of other aspects of family, cooking, taking care of kids, because I had my son in 2005. I got married in 2003, yes, 2004, sorry, in 2004, December. And I'd gotten a job to start 2004, about April, but you know, at the time I filled my forms, I had not said then I was married. Did you get what I'm saying? So I remember they questioned me that, how can you be pregnant? You never said. I said, I wasn't going to say to be married, possibly in 2003 December. I tell I filled my form in 2003. You get what I mean? So clearly I tried to pull some trance. My dad said, no, this is Nigeria, you're going to start all over. You can imagine. So at that point, I just thought that we focus a bit on fashion. But to the glory of God, I had people started loving what I was doing, and there was a lot of interest. There was no social media, let's not forget that. I always have to say that. I said that in the interview I had there. So it was word of mouth. And word of mouth at that time, if you give something good, people definitely come. I will tell you that word of mouth still works till today. Because whatever you do, even though there's social media, if there's no consistency, good after sales service is very important. So over the years, I knew that was important, and the first thing I did was obviously when she talks about how do you move your career into a proper profession, I did the registration. It's very important. I find people do businesses and don't register it. It doesn't make any sense. The first thing, and I know I'm working with professionals in this room, so I know registration is key for you to do. So I had people that were talking to me, and coming from my business background of what I've studied, I know the importance of registration and doing the right things. So that really helped me, got an accountant, auditing, so many aspects of that in terms of education also was applied in what I was doing. And that definitely was a good addition for me at the time, being a fashion designer. So from year in, year out, I started doing fashion shows very quickly. Arise was, at the time was This Day, Mr. was part of the shipping form for us fashion designers. It got us out there very quickly. I remember that I did London Fashion Week. Before I could say anything, I was in New York, Paris, the Lagos ones, so many. In fact, I really thank God. And so I believe when you see what you're doing and you're passionate about it, the consistent hard work, obviously there has to be the creative aspect of it, which I had, and thank God was different. And I think that also must have spurred me into what I am and how people distinguished what I had. And that definitely made it easy for me to know, I have a product, I must produce it properly and make sure that I satisfy my audience, my clients, and which I believe I must have done correctly. I thank God I'm still doing it till today. It's almost impossible to believe that it's 20 years this year, my anniversary will be 20 years this year. I will be celebrating by God's grace later in the year. So one thing I know definitely is that when you move from something that you love passionately, like the career, and want to make it professional, for everything, I love what you said earlier, Ms. Sarah, about humility. You know, it's very important, relationship building. I think all of those really helped me to be where I am today, because I made sure I built so much beautiful relationship with so many people across board. And it's very important for you to also bear in mind that you don't burn bridges. The fashion industry is very interesting, and like she asked me about Nigerian women in the interview I had there, and you must know that we're not easy to please. Nigerian women are the best to work with, and they're also, you know, we're all very, very interesting people, because we know what we want. Everybody's body is different. Some people want to show certain aspects of their body, some people want to show certain aspects of their body. And today, because of social media, the rise of how everyone's look, but bear in mind that we become more confident, how we dress. When I started, I remember that I made an announcement for a lady, and she had paid me. And believe it or not, when I got to the event, she wasn't wearing the dress I made for her. So you must be very confident in what you do. I was wondering why she's not wearing the dress. You know, she said to me she was scared that people could look at her, that she looked too different, and she didn't feel confident enough to wear it. But the same lady is still my client today, and what she wears today, in fact, I'm worried. When Nigerians attend events today, you don't even know what they're going to wear. We've forgotten about being casual. We're always dressed to impress. I mean, I see so many beautiful colors in this room, and this is just an afternoon of celebrating in a professional office. Look at the color you're wearing on your suit. You know, there was a time when you had to wear dark colors, but that doesn't work today. So there's a lot of, I would say, the Nigerian women have become more confident. I mean, the LDA brand stands for a lot of colors. I love my colors. I don't play with them. And in the past, people would want to keep it clean. You find somebody saying, I wear only black. Why would you wear only black? Why boring? You have to be unapologetic yourself. Like, you have to be you. You have to be, you know, fashion has lots to do with confidence. You have to be bold. And I think that's what I would say Nigerian women have become now. So, yeah, I think the Nigerian audience, and that's why I've been able to be in a blessed career for this number of years, because being in Nigeria for 20 years, 2 decades in any kind of profession isn't even beans at all. So I'm very thankful to be here. And I love that I'm having to speak to people. I don't know if there's any woman in this room that would love to do fashion on the side. Is anyone interested in fashion here? Hey. You know, this is so cool. You know, someone asked me a question about fashion recently, and what do I think has been different over the years. And I think it's growth. Because to think that when I was starting off, I had to hide myself as wanting to go into fashion. And this is something that everybody goes into now so confidently. Parents call me, Larry, my daughter wants to intern with you. Larry, my daughter is going into fashion. Larry, and they are so proud of it, because we all know what our parents used to do. Please, can you echo with me? What do you have to do in Nigeria? Doctor, lawyer, engineer, pilot. Oh, you know, but today, when you ask women, what do they say now? There's so much content creating, it's even work now, makeup artists, fashion designers, accessory designers. There's a lot, the list is endless. And that's why we have so many entrepreneurs around and people making money. Women have become so much more confident in what they do. They can make money for themselves. They can build their homes and their career alongside. I think it's just amazing. We're so thankful to them for that. Thank you.
Can we add a motivational speaker to Larry's profile? Yes, I asked her one question and she just went off into the space. But really, thank you, Larry. Yes. I think you answered it. You also brought in a lot of the things that we want to discuss this afternoon, the skills that are required, some of the capabilities that you need to build. Humility is something that I really took away from what you said. And really, just that courage to be strong, that you know what you've done, irrespective of people's feedback and that lady that didn't wear your dress. Thank you very much. Let me at this point introduce the Slido QR code. Please scan it. You can ask questions, but we'll also take opportunities to ask questions in this room, as well as from our online community. The next session we would have is to bring Sarah back on stage, and we would use this opportunity for everyone to be able to ask questions from Sarah as well as Larry. Now, we understand that career is one dimension of really empowering yourself as a woman, but there are so many other dimensions. Creating impact is also one of them. And I hope that from the questions that we would ask today and the conversations and the discussions this afternoon, you'll be able to get understanding of where to move forward from, not just from a career perspective, but also how to create impact in your communities. So questions, the floor is open for questions. Can I have the first person? Questions or comments for our panelists? While you're preparing your questions, let me come back to Larry for another second. Fashion is an industry that continues to evolve, and really staying ahead of that industry is something that is very critical. What are some of the things that you've built along the way, either in skills or capabilities that you had to develop, that has really helped you stay ahead and remain leadership in your industry?
So definitely, first of all, you have to be very passionate about the fashion industry for you to be successful in it. Second of all, you have to be very hardworking. It's not an easy one, it's not an easy feat. You need to put it there. Being creative, innovation, and staying with the trends, because over the years, fashion evolved. There's so many different, I remember there was a time when we were all into skinny jeans. Now I see everyone is wearing, we've become a bit more baggy as opposed to being skinny, you know. And over time, there's just, you just have to stay abreast of what's going on around you. Very important, reading books, novels, traveling, exposure, and that's part of it. Consistency, I cannot stress community building, and Mrs. Anga mentioned about humility, courage, confidence, very important in fashion as well, which I think Nigerian women have come to really, really embrace, you know. And yes, so for me, those are different things I think are important in what we do. I mentioned earlier about making sure that you get your books together, having an accountant, making sure you're audited. You know, the reason why I stress this is that you know, over the years, you would at some point meet some level of sponsorship, people you reach out to support your business. So it's very important that you have a business that people are wanting to see what you've had and want to actually relate and be part of it. So that for me is key, especially if you need some loans from the bank, for instance. I've had people, I remember about around COVID, there were some funds that were given, and some people had mentioned to me, and a lady approached me, about 4 of them, and I said to them, okay, these people are going to give you XYZ amounts of money. All this is all you need to provide. And at the time, NEPC, Nigerian Network Promotional Council, also gave money, of which I also got part of it. I could not believe it when they said they didn't have some certain documentation. I was shocked. In fact, they missed out on the money. This was money government was given to help during COVID, because obviously we all knew we had to stay back home and funds were given. So times like this, when I speak, you know, information is key. Please, 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 it's important whatever you do. However it is, even though it's a small business, I think it's very important that there's some businesses that you believe already have it, didn't have it. So they missed out on that money. I tried to intercede in the way I could, but they said, no, there are other people that have done this the right way. We need to see to them first of all. So when I speak to any audience, I always want to take the time out to stress that. So I think, all in all, it's very important that you know, you are very consistent, and you have the conviction of what you are doing. You are sure of it, because when you are giving products, results have to be consistent over the years. It's extremely, extremely important. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I have a question here for Sarah, and it says, have you ever felt stuck or stagnant in your professional career? How did you overcome that?
Yes, and the example that I also gave, actually when people think about my career, they only think about, I think, the last 3 years actually. And I would say that in the last, well, 5 years ago, I actually felt very stuck. I had been hired into Nigerian Breweries as a senior manager, but I was coming from a super senior role, and I felt, actually, am I really going forward? I'm just, you know, feeling stuck. And actually what I said about focusing on the skills that were outside of my core, because again, I was in the last 15 years, I had only focused on my core. I didn't focus on expanding adjacent skills that could help broaden my skill set and introduce me to new projects. And I would say that in the last 3 to 4 years, that's actually what I've been doing. I've been focusing on expanding my skill set, and that has then opened my world incredibly versus how I built my career in the past. So I have felt stuck, and the way out has really been on learning and broadening my skill set and staying open and humble, to be honest.
Thank you, Sarah. I mean, one of my favorite campaigns from Heineken is the Open Your World campaign. And you see how that is not just a marketing campaign, but it's also a personal campaign. Thank you very much. We have a question from someone in the back.
To the amazing women, it's afternoon already, who has presented to us. I really enjoyed your speech, it was very inspiring, and I have questions for the both of you. Okay, so the first question will go to Larry Da Silva, and it's really about, at what point did you know that you needed to have like a team, like a group of people working with, or working for you? Like you had to had different departments and accountants, because as an entrepreneur starting a business, I want to assume that you started by yourself, maybe from your room, based on the story that you've given. So at what point did you realize that, oh, I need more people, I need a team of accountants, I need an HR person, I need how did you navigate that in your business? Should I leave you to respond, or I ask the other question? Okay.
Ask the second one.
All right, so the other question for Sarah is, you mentioned something, and it's something that I personally struggle with, right? I get to meet people, we have interesting conversations, and afterwards it's, and I'm unable to keep up. That's a personal question, right? And I want to know, based on your presentation, you had said, oh, you traveled to different countries, South Africa, here, there, and there. How are you able to keep up with that connection afterwards? I would really appreciate that response.
She's clearly right. Thank you for the question. I definitely started with my parents' dining table. The story is everywhere. I think I've said it quite a number of times on the internet. And over time, I think when I started to know that I needed more help and a team and a proper team built, is when, when you start and you have your measurement book, and A to Z could take just one book. And afterwards, we realized we had to compartmentalize A, B, C, D, E, F, and each of the books we're building in the numbers before we started putting it up on the computer. So I told myself I need assistance here. So we started with tailors. I decided to get more tailors. I had to have a back. At the time, we didn't have sketch artists. I used to be the one that would do the sketching, but I had to have people sort of, the fittings. I remember that I had this lady, she's a model, hobby, and she used to help me out with my fittings, just have a general idea what was going on. So I had her, got some more bidders at the time. Then when I started up some bidders, then we started with about, I would say about 20 people, and that was when I said, yes, so I'm in business, So we had to obviously also speak to people about salaries, what was the going rate, and to make sure that we were at par with competitors and contemporaries and all of that. So I think when you start a business as an entrepreneur, you definitely have a clear mind of when you feel it's time for you to get some assistance. And I definitely knew when, I had to seek for more help. And that came in, and obviously when you're working with these people, they also bring more people for you. That's another thing in Nigeria. Well, it still works today, but not very much. I don't want to talk about the dark side of it, because so many of the young ones, the youths now, are moving into so many other things like we see on the internet and what's going on. I pray there can be more rehabilitation to help that, because unfortunately when I started, I would say 100% Nigerian workforce, but it's no longer that case today. So we tend to import labor now from other African countries, unfortunately. But I'm sure there was a time when, I don't know, some of you in this room, I know when you tell tailors get the freedom or something, it was a good time. Those times are no longer. They all are in the hurry to make quick money. Nobody wants to work anymore. They want to wear what you're wearing. If you are traveling your kids, they want to go to exactly where you're going. So everybody can make the money, which is why unfortunately we have all what is happening now with internet hacking, bank fraud, all sorts, WhatsApp. Look at the amount of authentication you have to do on your WhatsApp. Why? Things have so much changed in the last. I'm sorry, it's not what I meant when I started. So we're dealing with a bit. He's laughing. There's so much stuff going on. Yahoo this, Yahoo that. I mean, clothes are expensive, and people are complaining. We're importing labor. Come on. It's not easy. It's difficult. But we thank God we're still here. But I'm just saying that it's, I cannot talk about my growth and where I've been, because she mentioned about when I had to start thinking of my workforce. My workforce is not just what it used to be before. There's a big change now, but we're still grateful to God. Thank you.
Summarize. I think the question around how do you keep connect, I think for me it comes back to my personal purpose, which is about really building the next generation of African leaders. And so when I go to a market, I visit a market, I don't just visit that market and that's the end. I actually focus on building relationships. And relationships open doors. And I think in Nigeria, where I would like to call us, we're casual connectors. We're very good. Hello, when you are there, you know, we love on people, we're very casual, and then when the people go, they're gone. That's actually quite Nigerian. And what I have had to learn is actually how to be a deep connector. So if I connect with you, I don't just, hello, hi, what's going on, happy dancing, la la la. No. And if I identify you as a talent and somebody that I want to really help coach, I build and invest behind that relationship. So my recommendation would be, don't be a casual connector. Start to go deep and intentional. And it's not easy in our culture. We can be very casual. So go deep.
We will limit the number of questions we can take. But before I let you go, Sarah, there's a very nice question for you here. Have you ever doubted yourself in your journey? If yes, how did you deal with self-doubt and keep pushing and moving forward?
Okay, I think that's a great question. But I also want to refer to what I said earlier, like I'm work in progress. I am not perfect. I tell you every day, I say the prayer, and I am a person of faith, so I do pray. And it's like, look, whatever it is that comes my way today, give me the courage and the grace to deal with it. So I struggle with self-doubt even today, right? I work in a global environment, and you can imagine what that means. In my team 4 years ago, I was the first black to ever have that role. I'm the first female in Africa to have the role that I have today. So that comes with a lot of expectations, a lot of doubt. But I chin up, and I pray every day, and I walk out and I focus on building my skills and capabilities. Really back to the presentation that I made earlier today, and I do it with grace and humility, knowing that I don't know everything. So I'm very open to knock on doors and say to people, help me. Actually, I don't really understand that point. Help me understand it, help me navigate, you know, so, and that has really helped me to deal with doubt, because I don't feel like I am under pressure to know it all. I've released myself from that pressure. I focus more on how I'm learning it all and not knowing it all.
Thank you. 2 final questions from the audience. 30 seconds.
It's to Larry, and it's to say that it's very obvious you have so much passion in what you do. Judging from the first question Sandra asked you, and how you were very passionate, the rest was very passionate. I think that's very inspirational. The second one is a question, and it's just following up on what you said. Then when you started, your journey was really different compared to now. So now my question is, how were you able to, because in terms of social media, in terms of digital space, I'm sure it wasn't so obvious at the time compared to now. So how were you able to navigate your brand and still stay relevant in the digital space that we are?
Thank you, dear. So basically, you're talking about how I stay relevant today or then. Now. So the thing is, I find it actually easier today than then. But bearing in mind that at the time, buying newspapers was a thing. You know, we had the Genevieves, the True Love magazines. You might not, do you know these magazines I'm calling? I don't think she knows. She's a Gen Z. Yeah, so City People and Comium, those are the things, those are the times. And of course, this day, I'm sure I'm missing some out, but there's so many of them. Ovation, what again? Those are the times I started. But you know, when I look at the people going into any kind of entrepreneurship today, I think they are so lucky and blessed, because they can actually just operate from their computer in their homes. We didn't have that. So what you give out was so key. If you give out rubbish, nobody comes back. But I'm not saying those doing stuff today are giving out rubbish. What I'm just trying to say is that everybody, when it comes to fashion, everybody has a different audience. So everyone has the right to pick and choose, which is good, because I mean, come on, the Nigerian population is vast, like we are so many of us, and everyone, fashion is not right or wrong. It's what you want to wear that you would go for, you know. So, but today, there's so much more to do with, in fact, you can even sell from WhatsApp now. Can you just imagine that? in fact, when I realized that, I was confused. Like, what's going on here? You can have a shop on Instagram, you can have a shop on WhatsApp, you can set up your own from website to sell. There's a lot that can be done. Someone is saying something there. Are you selling on WhatsApp? Are you selling something on WhatsApp? Sure, that's what?
He was trying to clarify what you said.
Yes, sell on WhatsApp. Yes, you can sell on WhatsApp today. You have a proper business account. It's actually properly done and people go in there. They call it business account, right?
Yes.
Yes. So everybody has echoed yes. That's the difference. Can you hear the difference? Everyone here knows about the WhatsApp business account. So I think that for me is just a movement. And it just plays a key role to what she spoke about tech. That we should all go into the chat GPTs and everything. Don't ever say, I don't need AI, everyone needs it. In fact, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. I was speaking to my son the other day. I've got, my son will be 21 this year, my daughter will be 18. And I don't know what I was saying to them about when I did my own work in Nigeria. You know, at the time, you couldn't take mathematical sets. You know the math set? You know, today they take calculators into the exam halls. What's that? I was like, are you going into, I took my daughter for a GCSE, are you going in with a calculator? Because she had this calculator that she bought, and she said, yes, mommy. I said, I didn't have a calculator during my time. That's just to tell you that it's beyond, you know, then when you do your calculations, people get to see what you've done, and you can get your mark from what you calculate before the main answer, right? Thank you, everyone here. I mean, everyone here is not Gen Z yet. Today, these Gen Z children, they are going in with calculators. It's confusing. So that's the difference, my dear. So there's a big change, it's a big shift, and I think we all should make sure that we encourage everything tech, because that's the future. Thank you.
I really wish we could go on and on and on, but unfortunately because of time, we will take the rest of the questions via Slido, and the panelists will give answers via Slido as well. Thank you very much to both of you. I would like to then introduce our Digital and Technology Director, Mrs. Phil Adenke, for appreciation remarks.
Thank you, Sandra. I would really like to ask the audience to give a standing ovation to these two wonderful ladies, Sarah and Marina. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you guys.
We have a token of gifts for both ladies and quick presentations and photographs.
So I want to thank you for sharing insights with us from your experience, giving us some charges. I really like what Sarah said when she said that we need to think about 3 ways to avoid that it is 5 generations from now that we arrive at gender equality. She talked about skills and capabilities, something that we have always been emphasizing here at Nigerian Breweries. She talked about embracing organizational structure. She also talked about taking care of your health, and I know she didn't dwell on that, but how many of us agree that in Nigerian breweries we do take our health talk seriously? Very good. And then the 888 movie, 6888 movie. If you haven't watched it, I think this was a clear invitation to do so. Yeah, because then you could see how some other people given an assignment that they were meant to fail, basically redefined their assignment and reframed the value situation and turned it into a winning situation with hope in mind, right? Taking a job as a cleaner, for instance, and making it into something bigger, yeah? And then that shows that there's so much power in our mind. Whatever we make up our minds to do, that power will fuel the outcome of the assignment. She talked about embracing learning and humility and being driven by courage. Thank you, Sarah. And then Sarah ended with taking your PDP seriously. A few mentees that I have, they know about the power of painting your picture of success, right? And that is what the PDP drives you to do. Larry, fantastic presentation. You are such an inspiration. At a very young age, deciding to go into business, making a success out of it. Your presentation ended with women are powerful, they are graceful, and they are complex. How true, how true. And how much more could could we achieve if we know our power, ladies? We have so much power. You talked about registering the business, how important it is. You mentioned how some people lost out on an investment in opportunity because they didn't have the right documents. So for those of us that have side hustle, this is the time to register it if you have not done so. And you know, in Nigerian Breweries, a side hustle is not banned. You just have to declare it and ensure that there is no conflict of interest. She talked about getting mentoring and sponsorship. I mean, she built a nice network with This Day and the Arise News, and that was a platform for her brand, or part of the platforms for her brand. She talked about confidence and boldness being an integral part of the Nigerian woman today. And when you deal with people who are inherently confident and bold, how you yourself have to grow your own confidence and boldness. Imagine if you make a dress and you're expecting it to be seen at a platform and it's not seen. How do you get your courage back from that? And finally, women can build their careers and homes in parallel. How wise that is. That we don't have to give up anything. We can have it all, guys. Yes. Yeah. Who is with me? Thank you. Thank you very much. And now the gifts.
Yes, so in true Nigerian Breweries fashion, we have some drinks for Larry. But we will not bring them here. We don't want everybody to see. So we have this special pack for you. I would like Phil to present it to you. And of course, we have follow-up sessions with Sarah where we will bamboozle her with all the gifts.
Larry, there was a question nobody asked. How affordable are your clothes?
Affordable for all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Definitely. That is our yes, I'll give it. Friends and family. Friends and family, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil. It's my pleasure to then welcome on stage our Human Resources Director, Grace Omolamai.
Thank you so much, Sandra. I would like to thank Sandra very much because when were you told to do all of these big things that you did? So you understand, Sandra. Thank you very much for anchoring on. And indeed, I would like to thank our panelists. Landry, thank you so much for coming into Nigerian Breweries to really inspire all of us the way you have done. Thank you so much. And Sarah, what can we say? Your family, so if you did not agree in the first place, you had no choice, you had to agree. But having said that, Sarah did not come to Nigeria because of International Women's Day. She came for something else. I'm sure you saw the other Legion of Commerce people that came earlier. She's here for something else, but she took the time to spend these moments with us so that she can inspire us. And so that, because she's somebody that we can all relate with. And we know, a lot of us know when she left here in 2021 to go to Amsterdam. And like she said, on January 30, and you can imagine that I did not sleep because of that. But look at us today. Sarah is one of the very, 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 very few people that has gotten back-to-back promotions in Amsterdam. I mean, you could have imagined, right? In Amsterdam, highly competitive, highly competitive, but it's like every move she makes, it's a promotion, yeah? So, thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you again, Landry. And I hope that we all here have been inspired. Every year we do this. We don't only do the International Women's Day, we do the CR Empowered as well, where we have a big conference and even people from other opcos, other operating companies in Heineken, ladies from there, they join their teams, right? But I hope that these things that we do, they really touch us individually. Even if they don't touch us collectively or they don't show in the work that we do every day. Because some people are going to say, I've been on the same job grade since. But I hope that some part inside you is being inspired. and that your hearts are being lit, that they're being fired up for you to do something. And like Sarah said, adjacent skills. Do not just limit it to your own skills. But the whole idea of doing this is that everybody can grow. Personally, in the home front, in the professional front, and you can feel fulfilled in yourself as an individual to grow. So, before I go into another speech, I was just setting the basis for what will come next, which is the commitment cards, personalized and shareable on social media. So I'd like everyone, first of all, I hope you can see the QR code where you are. Everyone, please scan the QR code. Everyone, as in everyone, please, everyone, do it now. Because what typically happens is that when we don't take the action now, you go back to your desk, a mail drops, and that's it, distracted. Maybe that mail says you haven't done this, you're late on this, distraction. So please, everyone, scan the QR code. Yeah? So the whole idea of this commitment cards is to see how we can take everything that we've heard from here today beyond here, right? And we want to be able to commit as individuals. So 2158 would not be a reality. Yeah, this is one way we can practically ensure that that year 2158 does not materialize. But then something else materializes a lot earlier. So you click on the avatar or put in your preferred image. Yeah? And then you create a personalized card that will be generated in real time. And this card you can download and share amongst friends. See, Abuka has graciously agreed to be the sample. Yeah. You make a commitment to yourself about what you will do differently to bring changes to the lives of the people around you and to your own life personally, to your professional journey. And you can share that with your friends or within your social media circle, right? So please, let's do that now. And that's one way we can all contribute to ensuring that we are creating an impact, right? And we can all commit to ourselves as well that we're going to do what it is that we decided to do, having heard these two fantastic ladies speak, right?
Let me also add that we will make the QR codes available via email. That way you can share with other friends and family members.
Exactly.
But the idea is to continue the conversation outside of this room. I also understand HR has some gifts for every woman here.
Yes, and that's what I have in my hand. So we thought that it would be great to give to everyone who has attended this event a book that is entitled Growing. How fitting. Of course, we're all work in progress, like Sarah said. So we're all growing, right? What is the direction of that growth? Is it the way we desire, or is it taking us another level? Are we open then to explore where this growth is taking us, right? So everybody gets a copy, and those online that are not here, you're going to get a copy as well. So our ladies in the regions, right? We'll get a copy. This is the book. Right? We'll send it to you. Thank you so much, and I'll hand over to Sandra.
Thank you very much, Grace. We've now come to the end of this amazing event, and to give us a fantastic close to this, I'd like to bring up on stage Ayodele Alabi.
Women in Nigerian Breweries. Should I say Team MB?
Women beyond limits.
Team MB?
Women beyond limits.
Okay, so we're doing something novel today. We're doing something exciting, something new. when Larry was speaking, she spoke about mentoring and sponsorship being a big part of her journey. And when Sarah was also speaking, in fact, I think it was a question that Clementina had asked her, and then she spoke to building relationships, being a deep connector and not a casual connector. And I believe that this platform that we're launching today is going to enable all of us, every woman in NB, be deep connectors. So we're excited to introduce a new platform called the WINB WhatsApp channel. It's going to be a platform where we'll come together, we'll share knowledge, we'll share experiences, and we'll truly connect. So we're going to put a QR code on the screen. Okay, right, yeah, it's on the screen right now. And I want everyone to bring out your phones and scan the QR code on the screen. Please bring out your phones. I can see a lot of people not bringing out their phones. We're waiting for you. It's going to be a very vibrant channel. It's going to be a safe space for us to connect as women in Nigerian breweries, where we can talk about work-related conversations. We can also talk about personal experiences and how we can grow and develop together. Yeah, so this group is for every one of us. We would also be celebrating our successes on this channel. So I'm going to give everyone about 30 seconds to scan the QR code. And once you get in, you can start introducing yourself. Hi, my name is Ayo. I work in corporate affairs. Hi, my name is Grace. I work in HR. You know, just go on, introduce yourself, and let's start connecting. Are we in there? If you're in there, can you wave? With a wave of hand, can I see? Only 2-3 people. Let us breathe. Are we in there? Alice, are we in there? Oh, Abuka, no, it's for women. No, Abuka, you shouldn't be waving. It's for women in envy. Okay. Right now. Okay, we need to fix that. Thank you. So, as we close this session, I know we've said a lot of thank yous, but the thank yous can never be too many. So I want to say thank you again to Larry Da Silva. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Thank you for sharing your very inspiring journey with us. We're very grateful. We've learned so much from you. So much. Thank you so much. And also thank you to Sarah. Your help, family. We're glad to welcome you back. Thank you for coming to share your words of wisdom with us. I've learned a lot today, and learned a lot that we'll be taking this on in our career journeys. So a very thank you. And on that note,
picture time!
I also want to share one more thing. I want to say a very big thank you to the organizers of the planning team. If anyone is here, maybe come forward for recognition, because you do deserve it. Because you know these sessions are sessions that we actually pay for. People pay for these sorts of sessions, and we've gotten it here on the part of gold. So please, a round of applause for our planning team. Come out, come out. Africa, come out, come out. Malaika, come out, come out. Me. Kemi. So we're going to take a bow, yeah? Thank you. And on that note, we say thank you to the audience. Thank you for staying engaged. Thank you for giving us your time. I hope it was worth it. And with that, we call this event a close.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Thank you.
But we have the group pictures in the back with the media wall. So we would start with Larry, Sarah, and our 2 MT members that are here represented, and Ayo.